around where the people are. Are they going to go into this area where all these people are? They agree?
This is my 26th year in the fashion business, and I'm a self-taught fashion designer.
20 minutes. 7 o'clock, I want to start the show. Okay.
I didn't go to design school. You know, I thought that I wanted to, but you know, at that time there weren't really a lot of black designers. There was like one huge black designer, but it just seemed like that wasn't something that you could easily go into unless you were really connected.
The coat already?
No.
Okay, you can just put the coat on right on top of what you have on and just walk on out right now.
But for me, it happened by me reaching out to other people to collaborate with what I was doing to make me gain the title of she's a designer.
Yeah, I'd love to work with you guys when you come. Just give me an idea of what you're looking for. I'll make it happen. We'll make it happen. Thanks for coming. All right.
I was in a single household. My mom was single, and you know, we had food stamps and the government cheese that people talk about. When I was born, my mom's sister came to visit her to see, you know, the firstborn child, which was me, and she noticed that there was something not right with my legs and with my feet. And so she asked my mom, could she take me back to Pittsburgh with her and her husband to a specialist. And I was about like 8 months old. And I actually was diagnosed with bow legs and club feet, which I actually had straightened out. But I stayed with my aunt. She never had children. And I lived there with her until I was 7 years old. The way I lived in Pittsburgh and the way my family lived in Chicago was quite different. And I came back home to share a bedroom when I had my own bedroom. And, you know, I had a driver that would pick me up to take me to the babysitters. But coming back home to Chicago, we were in a 3-bedroom apartment. My brother had the one room and the 4 girls all slept in the next room. So when I first came back to live with them, I was kind of like bitter. I was like, oh, why do I have to like be here with them? Oh, I don't want to. But the things that I had learned early on, I held on to them. And they were always fine things. So I always know, you know, in my mind that wherever I'm at right now is just for a time, it's not for forever. I was a mom at 15, I was pregnant. The first time that I had quote unquote sex, I ended up getting pregnant. And so in the back of my mind, sex was just always like, I never want to even go down that road again. I could be a nun if I have to. I cried through my whole 9 months of pregnancy because I was like so disappointed in myself. Even though I knew that, you know, a brighter day was going to come, it was just devastating being 15. My mother was devastated. My sisters all made fun of me, my brother, people in the neighborhood. They just like fueled, you know, my will to move forward. And they just don't know that just being so negative was just something like positive for me, like I've got something for you. So my thoughts always were surface thoughts. I never thought about what is it going to be like to have a baby and this and that. I just want to think about what is it going to be like for me to get from here to June or July when the baby is supposed to be born. And for me, that was every day going to school. As a matter of fact, I was so entrenched in school, I took extra classes. And so I had my son in July, and in September when I went back to school, I would have been a junior. But because I took extra classes, I was called into the office and told, you don't have to do your junior year. You're a senior, so you can skip your junior year and you're going to be able to graduate. Destiny is whatever you make for yourself. Even being that young, I knew that, you know, I could tell my aunt was different from my mom, but they had come from the same place. I found that my mother had a tendency to be dependent. Then I noticed that my aunt was an entrepreneur. She had a business, she had a husband who was in the business with her, but she always had an abundance of.
Your shoes are fabulous, Barb.
And actually, I'd always wanted to be a fashion designer, but I had never taken out the time to take the necessary steps. I didn't go to design school, but I had this affinity for like really fine like things, and so I knew where to go get them when other people didn't. The way I started my business was wearing my clothes to work, and the girl says, "Where'd you get that from?" And I said, "Oh, I designed it." And she said, "Could you make me one?" And I said, "I sure can. Come to work tomorrow." And I took my tape measure in the bathroom. I sold clothes out of the job for a couple years. I sold it to the point that I was never going to get a raise. I was really close to getting fired. All I did was go to work and sketch and pick up new clients from the girls at the bank, and I left. I knew I didn't have a business plan, I didn't have any money. I wanted to put out a product that nobody else was doing. I wanted to do high-end right away. I didn't want to do any like, it was a $100 dress. I wanted to go straight for the gusto. So all I knew was just like, how do you make this happen? You make it happen by finding a small space. I find a small space. You make it happen by getting some tailors. I get some tailors. Even when I started selling to my girlfriends, who of course were the first people to buy from me, they were buying from me and they were calling me a designer. So rapidly, I thought they're not paying me right away, but they're advertising for me, and that's better than anything. So sometimes I wouldn't mind if they gave me short money or didn't pay me at all, or if the check bounced, because I knew that they were wearing the piece, they were wearing it well, and somebody was going to ask about it, and it would come back to me. And there were no risks as far as I could see. I borrowed some money from a person who was a client of mine who had money to burn. I was going to borrow like maybe $30,000, but at the time that he asked to leave the business, we'd only used up $18,000 of his money. He was 3 months into the business, and he said, "This business isn't making money, and I want out, but I'll give you a year and a half to pay the money back." And all I could think about was, how do you give somebody $18,000? Oh my gosh, how would I even do that? Well, in that time, like 6 months later, I got Michael Jordan as a client. And that's how I started my business, really. Literally, I are flying by the seat of my pants is how I started the business. I do custom clothing, but I love, doing just ready-to-wear things, because when I do custom, I'm like listening to somebody else and I'm putting their dream together. But when I get to do my ready-to-wear, then I get to show Barbara Bates.
Is there more of this?
Yeah, there's more of this.
And they made it
You
for
can do
you.
it like a little bit, longer or whatever. Currently, I probably have about 8 employees. Maybe 6 of them are actually tailors, and they actually do the cutting. They measure the clients when they come in. They make the patterns. And I work closely with my tailors. I'm not the boss that you come in, you can say hi to, and then I'm back there popping the whip. There are days that I like to pop the whip, but when I'm popping and I'm cracking jokes. He's gotta add all of this to make certain. But this is my livelihood, this is my business, and if you want to get paid, then you got to help me get paid. So it's got to be done timely, it's got to be done right. Even though this is a small paw operation, I'd like to run it like it's IBM. It was originally 1,100. That's a sample piece, and it's 800. I want the phones answered, properly. I want people treated the right way.
Put a period.
I still want to keep the standards that a big company would keep, because people expect a smaller company to fall apart. So it's important that I maintain, a Neiman Marcus standard when people come here. I actually think that, that small businesses are really like the new wave of the world. And, people starting small businesses, there's just like a niche for everything. When you're sitting down thinking about, I don't know what I want to do, I don't really know how to get there, just think about the things that come to you that are really easy. Is it talking baby talk to little kids, and it's daycare? Is it playing with animals? People make huge money walking dogs. So I think sometimes people go way outside of the box and want to think huge for what it is that they want to do, and sometimes it's the small, simple things that are right in front of you that are easy that can become, things that will pave your way through life financially. I think that for people who, have this deep desire and a burning to do something else, but they don't have the proper training in it, if it's right for you if you sacrifice to do it. If you put aside, like other things that could be lucrative for you, or other things that other people tell you are just right for you and they're in place, but you sacrifice taking the easy road and you take a road that is less traveled, that you're not sure about, and when you start taking that road, you see the doors open for you. That product that you're putting out there, it's a representation of you. You're putting out something that's, only as good as you are. So you want to watch the product. You want to make sure that the product is good, because when that person wears that product or feels good about that product, then they're going to tell somebody else about it. So at the end of the day, you got to put out a good product, and you got to treat your people the way you want to be treated.
On all Barbara stuff as much as I can get on this.
All right, okay. All right, cool. We'll take all your stuff for you.